If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started. Welcome to Passive Prospecting, YouTube for real estate. And today we're going to be moving pretty fast and furious. I'm actually in Las Vegas right now at the Ryan Pineda Tykes event, and we're about to jump out of the hotel, so I'm going to kind of keep this short and sweet, probably 20-25 minutes at the most. So if you have questions, now would be the time to raise your hand and get up on stage if you have some questions to pitch in. If not, I can ramble easily and ramble on and go on. Let's see, Chrissy, do you have a voice today? Or was that gone by halftime?
I have a voice today, yes. I kept things in check last night. It wasn't really a close game, so the screaming wasn't super necessary.
Oh, yeah. You weren't back and forth on your emotions too much, huh?
No, I was pretty stable last night. Feeling pretty good.
It's just one big high the whole time.
Yep. It was a nice way to end the season.
That was pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. I thought once they got up to 7 to 10, I think it was, and I thought, okay, all right, they got a fighting chance, and well, nope, that didn't last long.
No, that's okay. We were surprised to see them there in the first place, so I think we did a good job just making it there.
All right, so let's jump into this killer content, and what can you do? So the thing is that this is something that I want everybody to keep in mind, and this is a term that I like to use, or a phrase, you could say a phrase I like to use, which is optimize for the algorithm when you start, and then you optimize for the audience when you have an audience. Just because, anytime we get started on YouTube and everybody starts at zero, you have no audience at that moment. Now, the number one thing is you want to determine who your audience is. That's very, very important. I've been getting quite a few questions of people asking about creating agent-facing content on the same channel as real estate client-facing content. That is something I strongly advise against for the fact that it is two separate audiences. And the thing is that if you're talking about a day in the life of a realtor or, I don't know, something like that, that's typically what I'll see on a channel. I just don't think people are interested in it that much unless you're Ryan Serhant or, Chip and Joanna. But, the thing is that unless you have some large national reach and some sort of celebrity status at some level, I don't think people are really necessarily concerned or interested in your personal life or what you're going through on a day-to-day basis. They want to see what's in it for them, and they are in research mode. So a lot of times this is one of the most stressful things people can go through, is making a move, and you don't want to be just rambling and bambling and talking about things that is not of interest to them, because people are out there searching. At this event yesterday, they were talking about 70% of the videos on YouTube that are watched are suggested, only 30% are a search, but then YouTube is the second largest search engine. But again, you put that in context, even if it's, I think a lot of people, what happens is they search initially, and then as we've always mentioned, you get somebody to watch one of your videos, that YouTube is going to suggest more of your videos. And we know this because we've all made the mistake of watching that one silly cat video, and the next thing you see in your feed for the next 30 days is cat videos. And you're like, okay, I don't want to watch any more cat videos. Just stop suggesting cat videos. So yes, maybe I think people initially search, and then what happens is that YouTube is always going to suggest more and more, and so therefore it cuts down on search. So I could see how the stats may weigh into suggested on that front, because you think about it, if you search one video on Dallas, Texas, find our video, YouTube suggests the next one, you click on that, that's like a 50-50 ratio. And if YouTube suggests another one of your videos, or they log out and they log back in, there's going to be suggested videos, right, on the homepage and things like that. And so they may just click on the next one because YouTube's pretty good about suggesting the next video. So from there, if you click on the second video as a suggested video, now you're in that ratio of 66 to 33. So that, I think that's a little skewed on the numbers because, again, YouTube is the second largest search engine, and search drives YouTube traffic extremely heavily. Plus, in the beginning, this was the whole point of why I made the decision to go down YouTube first, was because of the search engine capabilities. I just thought, I had no presence on Instagram, or I had zero presence on TikTok. I think I had... Getting a call there real quick. Sorry about that. Let me message him. That's a really important call. But you guys are very important as well. So I'll get back to that person in a minute. And so let me see, where was I? Oh yeah, search. So the thing is that search is what drives it. When you have no audience, that's why I was making that decision to move into YouTube, because I did research the other platforms first. Whenever I was making the decision, I knew I wanted to focus on one platform. I wasn't sure which one. Everybody said Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, especially TikTok. But the thing is that the search capability and the evergreen content is just not there. I mean, how many on this call right now have ever gone back into somebody's Facebook page a year ago or 2 years ago, unless you're seriously stalking somebody or very interested in their past? But again, those platforms are not necessarily the place where people say, hey honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go see what's on the market in Facebook, or hey honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go see if we can find the best agent posting market reports on market updates on Instagram. Or hey honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go into TikTok and see if we can find the best dancing real estate agent. Now, all right, before you send me a bunch of hate email, I'm just kidding around, but you have to think about the psychology. Yes, I know several agents that have done deals from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Those are effective platforms. But I'm talking about volume and consistency, and especially, we just closed out our numbers, for last year. I'm not sure if I mentioned this on last week's call or not, but, we closed out 85 million from YouTube. Period. 85 million, 154 transactions just from our YouTube channel, still with zero ad spend to the YouTube channel. And I can show that easily on the back end of our analytics, because YouTube tracks if you run traffic to it, if you run advertising. And we haven't run any advertising at all whatsoever. Now, what was interesting is one time last year, somebody, and I think it might have been the city of Prosper, ran ads to one of our videos, and because we had a video that started taking off, and whenever I looked at the analytics, that said the number one driver is YouTube advertising, and I researched inside and out, up, left, right, and down, could not figure it out. But if you look in the back end of analytics of our channel now, out of that, it's not even 1%. So that's what pops up as far as YouTube advertising because of one video. And I didn't even know that at the time, that somebody else can run traffic, but either the city of Prosper or a builder, because we featured a couple of homes in there, somebody wanted to bring awareness to that video and ran traffic to it for a couple of days, and still to this day have never figured that out at all whatsoever. But otherwise, zero ad spend to the channel. 2022, we closed 85 million just on that, just from the YouTube channel. Allow me to take a quick break to remind you that we have very important links in the description below. If you want the full story of how we closed over 1 million in commissions our first year and over 2.3 million in commissions our second year, check out the first link. Also, you have the link to our #1 Amazon best-selling book, Passive Prospecting. Last, if you enjoy this podcast and you're a giving person, leave a 5-star review, please. Now back to the episode. 154 transactions. Our conversion rate was right at 9%. So last year it was much higher, but the last half year of the market, the last 6 months, I think played a huge role in that conversion ratio. I mean, we generated about 1,900 leads from the channel. 1,900 leads. So think about that. Still 9%. Would you be willing to, close one deal out of every 9 to 10 people you talk to. Every 10 people, actually that's about 10 to 11 people. So every 10 to 11 people that you had come in, would it be worth it to close one of those deals? I think so. So, the search component is out there. Now creating the content that people are searching for, this is something that we've always talked about, is that's what I understood. That's why I took time to research. Whenever the other platforms didn't really sit well with me, I just didn't see a path for myself. And I think mainly because I was brand new and what I saw was seasoned agents, telling really great stories, about their experiences and funny stories and scary stories and this and that, and then also educating people on their last 5, 10, 15, 20 years of their real estate experience. Well, I didn't have any, so maybe it just didn't seem real to me, and I could easily read about an FHA loan and regurgitate that information on a reel, but that just didn't seem authentic to me. And so I think that's why initially I was kind of like, I don't know if those platforms are a good fit for me. So YouTube was the last choice. But as I dug in, started to research, read YouTube secrets, that's whenever I started to understand, okay, YouTube's a search engine, not a social media platform. And so if you can create the content and find what people are already searching for, then that's going to put you in front of people a lot sooner rather than later. And I think that's really easy to do, and we've shown that through TubeBuddy, very simply to find out what's searchable. Now what we find is that it's pretty much the same thing across almost every city. What is searchable? Pros and cons, very simple. And that was I saw that's the other thing, part of my research I came across. I was looking at all these real estate agent channels, and a lot of them low subscribers, low view counts, and they kind of had the same old stuff, plus thumbnails were really bad. But I found one agent with the pros and cons video that had like 50,000 views, and that was kind of a light bulb as well. And I was like, whoa, pros and cons, that's not really addressing real estate necessarily, just more about the city. So all of those pieces of the puzzle started to add up for me, and then I thought, okay, let me see what's being searched in Dallas. Well, you could type in, in TubeBuddy, pros and cons of Dallas, Texas. High search volume, Frisco, Texas. You can just type in the suburbs, and we talked about this on last week's episode. If you haven't listened to that yet, then we talk about keywords. And ultimately your neighborhoods, your suburbs, your city are your keywords. And so you start looking at Dallas, Texas, Frisco, Texas, Plano, Texas, and I'm going, okay, very high search volumes for those. So if we just start creating content around those versus talking about FHA loans and things like that, then maybe we'll get found sooner rather than later. On top of that, it was frequency and consistency and who else is posting in the market right now. And so that was very simple. Now you want to go back and forth on those titles. So you want to make a list and think about what would people want to learn about your area if they were moving there. Now think about this too. Now I get this question a lot, which is, okay, do you attract a lot of relocation buyers? Yes, absolutely. But I tell you what, I absolutely love relocation buyers because they're very decisive, they're intentional, they make moves. That's the other stat from last year, 2022. Just ran the numbers on this as well. Our average contact under contract was 51 days. So think about that. We did a total of 184 transactions. 154 transactions were from YouTube, but out of the 184, on average, we got them under contract in 51 days. Think about that. That's very intentional buyers, and we were extremely buyer heavy on that. We're implementing a new listing strategy this year, which we've already done several listings already. So that's starting to work in our favor, and we were implementing that. But last year we were just dealing with the volume and the influx from the buyers. But I love buyers. Now the thing is are you going to attract local buyers and sellers? Probably not at first, because there's not a lot of people, I would say, that live in your city that start researching your city. They've either lived there for some time, or they can just go drive over to the next neighborhood and cruise around, right? But I think that will come as you become the established brand and the established channel. More and more people will find you, and you will become more relevant in your local market. but that's okay if it's not in the beginning. This is all a progression. This all takes time. It all builds up. And so, that content, easily, you just look at, pros and cons of Dallas, Texas pros and cons. You kind of just flip-flop and see what's most searched in your area. Cost of living, super simple. Veterans benefits, for your state. Veteran housing benefits. I mean, those are some of our most watched videos. The map videos, something that I never thought would even be cool, that's the thing, or sexy, right? I mean, getting on a screen share and showing the map of your town and walking through it and drawing on it with a little marker, surprisingly, extremely popular, some of our most popular videos. And just the explanation, you have to think about these people's mindset. They're in research mode. They're looking for answers. They don't know a lot. They're looking for local advice. They're looking for somebody that has the experience and the stories and the information that they're looking for that they can't find on iBuyer platforms or apps or just reading a blog. I mean, sure, you can read a blog, but who really wants to read through an entire blog this day and age? I mean, yes, there are your readers and writers, but that's why we include, descriptions in our videos, and we do accompany blogs with them on our website. But the thing is that it's very easy to find that. And so you want to optimize for the algorithm in the beginning, and then you optimize for your audience. And that's the thing, is once you start to gain more and more traction and you start to develop your audience, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start getting phone calls. You're going to start getting comments. You're going to start meeting people. You're going to start closing deals. And then you really start to understand your audience. And that allows you to start to create more content that you get a feeling for. You get to optimize for the audience. You get to say, oh, I know what people are looking for because I'm having the conversations. I'm responding to my comments. I'm showing them homes. We're closing deals. And as you develop more and more of those relationships with your audience, it will become a lot easier, I believe, to make those videos. But, think about all the different people. So, we started out even with our vlog tours showing homes, kind of give an overview in the $300,000, $600,000, $900,000 range. And I thought, yeah, it's a good way to kind of cover everybody. But going from there, it was something very simple to say, okay, well, what about specific buyers? Because guess what? Every time we started to get calls, what do people do? When you ask them for a price range, what do they tell you? They give you a price range usually, right? And they're usually within $100,000. I mean, if people give you a larger range than $100,000, that's usually a red flag, right? It's okay. Either they're not serious, or they really haven't looked at the numbers. They're just all over the place, or maybe their mind is bigger than their wallet. So you have to be careful with those people. But if somebody says, yeah, I'm looking between $300,000 to $400,000, okay, yeah, that's a reasonable range. I mean, $300,000 to $500,000, a $500,000 house is a lot different than a $300,000 house. At least in Dallas, So that's a big difference. So when somebody says that range, it's kind of like, all right, I know we got to dial them in. But most people are usually and really closely within a $50,000 range. So they might say $350,000 to $400,000, $450,000 to $500,000, $500,000 to $550,000. Those are, I think, the responses that you're looking for of more serious clients. So if it goes above $100,000, that's where I would get very cautious, And what I mean by cautious is that you need to dial them in, redirect them, really dig in, understand them more completely about what they're actually looking for, or they they may not be very serious, especially if you get in the $1 million range and someone says, oh, my range is between $1 to $3 million. Oh, that's a huge range when you get in the $1 million range. $1 to $3 million. I mean, it just is. And so, and I think serious buyers over the $1 million range don't have that big of a gap. They know their finances. They're dialed in on those types of things. But something to keep in mind. But that's where I started to think about individualizing price ranges, So in Frisco, or one suburb where you can make pros and cons, you can make a map video, you could do cost of living, you could do, top school districts according to this website or that website. You could do, top neighborhoods. And then if you really want to dig into it, it's very easy because guess what people are searching? What does 300K get in? I think we've made that very popular, that those types of videos, because it gives you 15 videos at least probably in any type of neighborhood, because you can start somewhere, any type of suburb. If on the low range is 300,000 up to 1.5 million, it's very simple to say, what does 300K get you in Frisco, Texas? What does 400K get you in Frisco, Texas? What does 500K get you in Frisco, Texas? And you just work your way up the ladder. And we've done that. And that's how we get 25 videos on one neighborhood. And we could even go before that, or beyond that. What does 1.6 get you? What does 1.7 get you? So people, I think, can be dialed in. The very serious ones are very dialed in, usually within $100,000 of their price range. And so you're catering, now that's more specific, a little bit more niche, but again, it really targets that market. And then we would feature 3 or 4 homes in that price range to give them, we start at the low end, go mid-range, and then on the high end of, say 300. So find a house for like 3 to 310, another house 350 or so, and another one that's like 380, 390. And that's what we would focus on in those videos. And so just scaling out like that is very, very simple. And then when the new year comes around, if you want, especially right now with the way prices are changing, guess what? You could probably remake all of those videos. I know now that we made those videos in a evergreen format because I did the intro in different spots all over Frisco. So the intro is in different places. That brings relevancy, that shows them different areas and keeps it interesting. Now, those price ranges, probably not the same, but it still gives them a good idea of what's in that area. Now, the $300,000 house may be $350,000, so those are things to keep in mind. But I could redo all of those right now, but those videos are still getting views. Neighborhoods, top 5, top 8 neighborhoods in one suburb has been one of our really, popular videos. And I've experimented from all ranges, anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. When I made an hour video, that was by accident. I wasn't planning on it, but it just happened. But I was covering the top 8 neighborhoods, and I ended up talking for, 5 to 6 minutes on each neighborhood, 5 to 8 minutes, and that adds up. But it was simple to give a 5 to 8 minute overview on each different neighborhood and the top 8 neighborhoods, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, it's an hour video, and it's been one of our most popular videos. And people watch that because people that are researching, guess what? They're researching. They're in learning mode. And what happens when you watch a documentary or a mini series or a mini documentary series, right? You sit down, you dig in, and you're in for the long haul. And so that's what these people are doing. So you got to put yourself in their shoes and figure out, okay, what's really going to help them make better decisions. And if you check out a couple of our recent videos, this is something else with making killer content. Now we are just working on changing things up quite a bit, And so you want to think about that too. You want to up your level of enthusiasm as well, because the camera, they say, may add 10 pounds, but it can take away half your energy. So you want to be a little bit more energetic, because it does bring your energy down on camera if you're just even Steven. And I'm not saying be not yourself and get all crazy and jump around like Chris Farley, but I'm just saying increase your cadence a little bit when you talk, increase your volume a little bit, increase your your gestures, your explanations. It's okay to talk through those types of things. So just be mindful of that. Increase your energy, because that's going to make you look a little bit more normal on camera than what you think. But don't overdo it. Don't overkill. So these are all types of things that you want to do. I mean, I noticed, we also talked a lot about, like, when you're making office videos, that it's good to be framed like from the, top of the chest up to the top of your head. So you're kind of really in that screen, and your eyeballs are there connecting. But now I've been doing some more research and finding that people that are kind of more of a waist up, where the screen includes your hands, and you can make gestures, your hand gestures and talking with your hands. Again, they always say, 70% of our communication, if that's the exact number, is nonverbal. So your hands, kind of tell the story, and they're kind of pattern interrupts, and they break it up, and they keep things moving on the screen. So now you'll see some of our recent office videos are from kind of the waist up, including my hands. So just to create more diversity in there, and more action, you could say. And so that is something that we've recently adjusted to making that change. So those are just some things that you want to research. And then also at this conference, I was sitting next to this one of the top podcast guys, and he's actually business partners with Evan Carmichael, who's one of the top YouTubers as well, and has interviewed everybody from Tony Robbins to Oprah to, the list goes on and on. He's written 3 books, and here's Evan's business partner. And we were sitting down at dinner last night together, and he was going all through my YouTube channel. And, he even said himself, and I was showing him the office videos, and he goes, that one where I can see your hands, he goes, just makes you look smarter. He goes, makes you look more believable. He goes, I just like that way better than the other ones, just your face. And, and that's what I think. It's part of the hand gestures. It's part of those motions, as to where, when I had just from the chest up, sure, you make more of an eye contact with me, but, I'm also, you're just staring at my face the whole time. So, we're always constantly working on improving our content, how to make it better. And, these are the things you want to look for, and just continually read and research and follow some channels as well that teach YouTube and think about these types of things. So I think that's going to be it. Chrissy, you want to add anything in there? I don't see any questions today. So and I've got to run out the door. But anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that you covered it pretty well. I'd just say, ultimately it comes down to, if you want to create great content, you really have to go back to the analytics too. And kind of going back to what you said earlier, the whole Chip and Joanna Gaines, people don't really want to see your day unless you're Chip and Joanna Gaines. Well, Joanna Gaines has also made a lifestyle brand for herself. She sells clothing and house products, and it's all based on what people were asking for. None of that stuff was launched with her. They all started out with the Fixer Upper brand. It started with that, but people started asking more about her, and her team responded with providing what people were asking for. So as long as you're following the search traffic and you're following what people are asking for, and not assuming that you know what people want, you're going to be successful on your YouTube channel, because the traffic follows the search volume.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great way to close it out. So short, sweet, to the point, I believe, today. So again, make sure you go to passiveprospecting.com, get signed up to be notified as soon as we release the book. I'm super excited about that. That should be coming out sometime next month, if not early March. We're right on track. So everything's moving along, and I tell you what, I think it's going to be a game changer, and I know it will help a lot of people, especially those readers and writers, that really just kind of want to see it on print and walk through that and get the step-by-step. So it's going to be very powerful. So passiveprospecting.com, and we will see you next week. Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching at no cost, schedule a call at passiveprospectingpartner.com.